folks who are new to the live, we usually cover various topics about either how to make yourself better at what you do in the gaming space or how to make gaming better. And so this is Pride Month, so I'm trying to feature trying to find as many rainbows as possible. I'm trying to queer people doing amazing things in and around the gaming space. And so last week we had Jason Headley, Easy Cat, and we talked about what makes gamers different. And so I thought, since I think it's Scene 4 recently started talking about hey, it's Pride Month. These are the 5 most innovative RPGs I can think of, and they're all made by queer folks. I was like, hey, we should have Deernicorn on, and then we had our Odyssey. So,
a long and winding tale, but it makes sense. It's a natural marriage, I think, of queers and queer gamers in tabletop spaces. It's just like, it's a parried as old as time. So.
It is. Yeah, speaking of which, all right, Andy, tell us a little bit about your story coming to Deernicorn, what you do, like your favorite game types, so that we can, get some sense of like our discussion.
Totally, absolutely. Well, hi, new people. My name's Andy Licht. I am a game designer myself. I have 2 games. Yeah, woo! I have 2 role-playing games under my belt. The most notable one is called Between Clouds. We had a successful Kickstarter like a year ago, and it is like a queer biopunk adventure, which is really fun. Yeah, it's cool. You like fly around on a giant animal. And that is how Ross found me, actually, is through Kickstarter.com and through that project. And we just live in the same area, so we totally connected. Yeah, and so that's my background. I'm an illustrator, a writer, a designer, all of those things and more. And I have just been so graciously brought into the Deernicorn fold, and been learning a lot. And I'm doing marketing here and graphic design and just helping out around the shop and absorbing the general, the gaiety of it all. So yeah, it's great.
So how did you get thrown under the bus for TikTok? Did they just all say not it, or?
No. Okay, that's the other thing is okay, right. How did I wind up doing this? Yeah, it could have been anything else. No, I had a pretty successful run marketing Between Clouds on TikTok.com. This very website right here. So I think Ross saw that I had a proclivity for it.
Well, you glow and are fabulous. I love this so much. Yes, absolutely. Your star power shines through clearly.
You flatter me, Seppy. Yeah, I think I could never tell if for the marketing people were sticking around for the game or for like my makeup, looks, presentation.
It could be both. Well,
it could be both. Yeah. Right. So that's where I'm at. And that's how I got here, and super glad to be here. So
that's awesome. I should be following. Do you still maintain both accounts?
Yes, I do. Yes, yeah, I'm active here at the Deernicorn account, and then I have a separate personal account called Aluna_Vane. That's my stage name. I'm also a musician. And I advertise games and music and just personal projects. But yeah.
It'll be my automatic follow after this. I'll go find.
Honored. Seppy, for my own sake, and also for some of the viewers, I would love to hear a brief introduction for yourself, a little Spark Notes. What should I know about you? Yeah, yes. Reverse. I'm just looking it back. What should I know about you?
Fight in a Box has been making board games since 2013. We're in the middle of our crowdfund on GameFound for Conquest Princess: Fashion is Power. It features a non-binary and trans female, and then it has 2 other main female characters. So. Nice. Our trans characters are on the Pride poster for the game.
As they should be, right?
Yeah, as they should be.
Okay.
The other characters, it's not canon yet that they're queer, but our intern Evan did make our mermaid and our on fire alien character kiss recently, because Evan was very mad that we have been heavily trolled during the campaign by hate groups.
No, really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, I mean, I suppose that's even more of a reason to sparkle, you know. But like,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm trying to maintain my sparkle. Andy. I'm trying to maintain my sparkle. Yeah, no,
the
it's
more you hate, the gayer I get. It's just how it goes. Yeah, I don't know.
it's true. Like my very presence seems to irritate some people, and so now I need to shimmer like 1,000 disco balls in
Right.
the Nevada noonday sun. I want to be my own Burning Man. Just make that shit happen.
I love that. Yeah, they should be able to see you from the next zip code. Yeah, it's true.
Woo!
Yeah, okay.
Hey,
I'm gonna go
Portland!
check out that Kickstarter immediately after this. That sounds so cool. Yeah.
Oh my God! If you could, it's on GameFound right now. And
Okay. Sweet.
we would absolutely love that. Yeah, like absolutely. That would mean a lot. It isn't only like fabulous and inclusive. It is also really critically well received. Like cuckoo bananas. Like everybody who likes crisis management board games loves our game.
Okay, like you've been blown away by the reception. You weren't even expecting this, and it's just totally. Okay.
I've been working on it for 6.5 years. I see how your masterful takedown says you judo flip this whole conversation. It's not about me, Andy. It's not about me.
Right, I'm a poor interviewee. No, but okay, yes.
No. Absolutely. This theme sometimes gives like everyday like gamers a little bit of pause, and that happened with 3 of the different reviewers. And they were like, we kind of like cajoled them into trying it out. And afterwards, they had the exact same aha moment that people did with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like if you go to your average gamer at a con and say, hey, do you want to hear a story about how a woman comes to terms with her daughter's queer identity? And they go, no, thank you.
I mean, I'm not your average con goer because I would say, where do I sign up? But yeah.
Right. You and I would be like, yeah, like tell me more about this. Or if you said something like, do you want to have the most emotional moment you'll ever have with a rock with googly eyes?
I love.
And they'll be like, what? And they'll be like, get out of here. That same aha moment that people have with that miraculous movie is the kind of thing they have with Conquest Princess. It is designed to be a literal everybody title. Like,
wow. That, yeah, well, okay, and I the universality of that film, and I think the way that it speaks to, like, our desire to be needed, and valued, and yeah, I think speaking to that, the connection alone, it, really says volumes, as opposed to approaching someone with the dry, do you want to hear about a tumultuous mother-daughter connection? Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you had walked up to, again, your average con goer and say, hey, do you want to do what happened to, oh no, come back. Oh no, we lost Andy. Andy, come back. Andy, come back. Oh no. Nobody knows, Jared. I'm like the ancient one. No one knows my actual Oh, it's Rosie the Cozy Board Gamer. Rosie, we're so excited to have you frequenting the lives on a regular basis. I will get that stuff to you, responded to your email probably today. But everybody else, yay! David, if you're still here, yay! Jared, yay! Irene, yay! I don't know what happened to our guests. Internet fails. Okay. Well, that could literally be the shortest live in the history of lives. David, you're amazing.
We're back.
Like those. Thank you for that commercial break. Now we're back.
Yeah. I don't wanna point fingers or anything. But the issue may rhyme with the word boss or toss. Could be wrong. I don't know. But
I don't know. I don't know. What words could that be in that office? Floss. It was definitely floss. It was definitely floss. So yeah, no, if you like literally went up to your average gamer and say, hey, do you want to go through what it takes to get martial arts superpowers?
No.
And the answer is no. But that movie has a universality to it. But the thing is, if you now going to the back and looking at the marketing for that movie, in no way did they show what is the substance of that movie.
No, and I kind of a miraculous thing. I actually saw that film in theaters without being exposed to a lick of the marketing. I didn't even see the poster. So for the first 30 minutes, and I won't spoil too much for anyone who hasn't seen this film because it's just marvelous. But for the
it is, and the surprise, you can't let anybody tell you about it.
No. But for like the first 15, 20 minutes of the film, I thought I was watching a family drama based in a laundromat. I was ready for 2 uninterrupted hours of laundromat family drama.
Yeah.
And then I was
ready. I was ready for totally broke Asians. I'm like, oh, totally broke Asians. I'm gonna go see.
I was like, cool, yeah, I'm here for it. Yeah, please, yeah, bring it on. They really expand it to this much broader theme. So,
yeah, it's yeah. So, but another movie that really hides all of its inner workings is Back to the Future.
Elaborate. Go on.
Okay, if you say, hey, you're going to have the most uncomfortable potential kiss since Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
We're going to have this inappropriate relationship between a very young guy and an old scientist, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that movie. I mean, first off, the surprise kiss trope. We can leave at the door. I don't need any more surprise kisses. Whatever.
No. Seriously, Game of Thrones really internalized that too much. I'm not ready for any of that.
Right. They took notes in the wrong way. They were like, I know what we should do. Yeah. You're right. Back to the Future does. Yeah, it is a film of its time for sure. It has some interesting qualities. So yeah,
it does have some, and yeah, the polite, interesting qualities. But again, when you sneak up something on an audience, so for us and you as a marketer, you understand a hook is very important, and getting people on. For the everyday con audience, using the word princess and using the word fashion has been exclusionary.
Truly.
Right? Despite the fact that the name Conquest Princess is a classic anime name for a giant robot. A giant robot.
Yeah.
In Trans or Z, one of the oldest school, terrible feminized robots. The reason that I had to redo that is because this awful female robot. Her name is Cleopatra. And she's a giant robot. And she has the most infamously worst attack of a female giant robot in the history of all. And trying to create. Yeah, oh my God, yeah, it's really bad. But the idea that it's named after the giant robot, people. And then instead, if I had called it CP-10,000 Gear for Battle, suddenly there would have been no pause. But my sparkle.
Yeah, but the sparkle was too much. It's interesting. You think the domineering masculine energy of the word conquest would balance out the gentle, gossamer, effeminate energy of the word princess. But no, I guess that's not enough.
Warrior Xena is a warrior princess.
Right. The warrior word, I mean, titles of equal value, but warrior, yeah. And I think it says something like, I think that says something both culturally and also within like a lot of queer spaces and a lot of gaming spaces where people feel either uncomfortable or unwelcome to like approaching certain games or certain aesthetics because of who they are or how they've been taught to identify, you know, how they've been taught to present themselves. And it's like, you can, you know, I don't really care who you are, right? Like you can be the toughest guy, and I believe that you're a tough guy, but that does not exclude you from playing you know, Conquest Princess and having a great time, or from you know, like you can play Thirsty Sword Lesbians, you know.
Yes!
You don't have to be a lesbian, like you can, right? And
yeah,
it won't kill you. The magenta won't kill you.
Absolutely. Like,
so,
you know, like I don't think people would have a problem playing any of the versions of Ripley from the Alien franchises, you know, Vasquez in particular, like, you know, badasses, absolute badasses, you know, Sarah Connor, like absolute badasses.
You know, my fun tidbit for Ripley from Alien is that the character was initially supposed to be a man, and then like in the final hour of production, they changed it over to being Ripley, right? They did a little gender swap, but that's part of why the character's so well written, is because the writing team just treated this person with like dignity and respect. You know, like if you want to write good women, just write men. And they really took that to heart. Like just write nuance and individuality.
I know. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna like, write like you would the most badass ass, no matter what a gender, and just get a fantastic actor like Sigourney Weaver to play them. Like.
Cool. Instant gold.
Instant gold. Like, don't try to project, like, gender where it wasn't important.
Where it wasn't needed on an alien spaceship. Why did
like, you put on power armor. Mm-hmm. Who could drive a power armor skeleton or a giant robot? Like, does it matter that you have more muscle mass in your upper body?
No. In a world with light speed travel and xenomorphs, why is gender a concern? There are bigger fish. There are bigger queen aliens to fry here. Yeah. So. And
you know, for the record, because space is filled with awful things like radiation and unexpected G-forces, people with double X chromosomes actually have an advantage.
Oh, is that real?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Like, so women fighter pilots, these are things. Wow. Yeah. And because of radiation damages your chromosome structure.
Yeah. Whoa, that's actually kind of sick. Space is for women. Oh my god.
Space is for women. Like all women. All women.
All women.
All women. All women. My cast is a very the Pisarians are the space fish people, and ours is a shark. None of the Pisarians are born women. They all transition just like clownfish or parrotfish.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it happens, folks. You know, it's so funny for anyone out there who would ever, who would ever question the biological nature of gender being this totally like mutable, unpinnable concept. You know, it's like nature's doing it all the time. There's this marvelous book called Queer Ducks, and I forget the author. If anyone knows, post that in the chat. But Queer Ducks is the name of the book, and the author highlights like the myriad countless examples throughout the animal kingdom where creatures are transgressing boundaries of sex and gender. And yeah, you know, for fungi, did you know there's over 36,000 sexes of fungi? 36,000! Can you even conceive that? Right! We have two. I'm like, okay, male, female, and 36,000? What are even the words for those? So yeah, nature.
All right. So in 36,000, I don't feel like we have. I don't have to explain this to you in any way, shape, or form. The question with fungi is, do they have multiple? Like we only have two poles, right? You were explaining two poles. Do they have 19 poles? Like what's the matrices of the like what is the
how does it look? How does it look?
How does it look? Like is like purple versus green and like part of the gender configuration of fungi? Like, I don't know. Like,
Seppy, my guess would be very complex. I'm guessing it looks very complex.
I love a matrices. I do. I love a matrices.
I'll go
all
find
right.
a picture and send it to you afterwards because
Yeah.
it's probably a nightmare. Yeah.
It is probably a nightmare. But speaking of nightmares, we are talking about why, and today's topic is good reset. Speaking of nightmares, today's topic is talking about queer people leading in the indie RPG space. Andy, as an expert, as someone who's published one and works at one of my favorite independent publishing places, why do you think that queer voices add so much to this space? And what do you think inherently makes us exciting for innovation? I got it out, Andy. I practiced.
That was good. That was good. So I'll begin answering that by kind of outlining what I think attracts so many queer voices to the role-playing space, because anyone who has a pair of eyes and a brain will probably have noticed that there is demographically a surplus of queer people in the role-playing space. It is really bananas. You're
cuckoo bananas.
It is. Yeah, I'm like, it really makes me feel like a trope, and I love it. I'm all here for it. I'm like, yeah, one of 30 award-winning trans women making games. One of 300,000. But like,
you all get an award. You all get an award.
I mean, it wouldn't happen if we weren't all so good at it. But like the obvious answer to why there are so many queer people within role playing is because we have, for so long, like, any queer person has experienced being unable to express themselves and unable to live a life that is authentic to themselves. And I think they have found solace in gaming of all kinds, specifically role-playing, whether it be video games or tabletop games. Just the ability to imagine a life, to experience a life other than one's own, where they don't have the restrictions imposed upon them, either by family or by social structures, by society, where they could live as a different version of themselves, as they ideally see themselves. I think that is so invaluable for queer people, you know, or for anyone who feels like they are living inauthentically or under an oppressive system. Like, having the ability to see a better life for yourself that's everything. So that's why there's so many queer people in the space, and that's also why I think people are so well suited for making games, you know, specifically for making role-playing games, is because so many of us have had the experience of living two lives, you know, and of needing to be someone else. So yeah, that would in part be my answer. But yeah, especially like coming from a trans perspective, right? As a trans person, I think you spend so much of your life, I don't want to say masquerading, but certainly role-playing a character, you know? I think role-playing was for the first 21 years, you know?
I think masking is a very important topic for us to explore in this. But to touch on something that you said, and you can tell me if this is authentic to your experience, is in all creative endeavors, we are seeking to express a truth. And in role-playing is definitely a creative endeavor. So though you might not be able to live your authentic truth in you know, like our reality, when you are doing a creative endeavor where the goal is to find truth through that creativity, you can arrive your need for the truth and your need as what it takes to make something quality in a creative space can really line up. Does that make any sense, or did I old guy babble?
No, it totally does. It totally does. And I think, like, you know, I think we really undervalue... Okay, so I have two thoughts here. One, I think we really undervalue the power of storytelling as a resource, and as a like legitimate form of self-care and as a knowledge system. But stories.
Say that again. I just need you to say that for my own soul, Andy. Say that again.
That we undervalue storytelling as a form of self-care and as a knowledge system, as a way of transferring knowledge between each other. It's communication.
Oh, it's so primal. Like our brains are designed to amalgamate story objects and to use that for healing. Oh, you blew my mind, Andy. That is the most fantastic way. At Fight in a Box, we say we believe in the power of laughter and storytelling.
Yeah.
And you have now just executed a new version of this for me. My gosh. Do you mind if I rip you off a lot with that? Because oh my God, I'm gonna rip you off all the time, Andy. Oh my gosh, I needed that in my life.
And deposit that. Yes, absolutely. That's all yours for free $99. I don't need it. No, you you honor me, Seppy. You do. Storytelling is just so often like looked down on as being something trivial. But like you said, it's our most primal form of communication. Like since we had language, since the dawn of time, the first thing we were doing with it is telling stories, you know? And so I do, and the power of that is not only like healing and nourishing for ourselves, but also I think it is transformative in the way that it guides us. Like, you know, and this is true of society, like on a broad scale, or projects, or whatever you want to apply it to. The story that you tell about that thing is how that thing grows, or how you can direct that thing, right? Like the story you tell about your life is how you live your life. And I think that's so true of role playing. It's like if you can tell a story where you're someone who is, you know, someone who's powerful, someone who is resilient and brave and all of these things, then you can embody those aspects for yourself, and that's real, you know? Even if the world that you're in isn't, that embodiment of those things, that is legitimate and real and has real effects. So.
And more importantly, as you go down this rabbit hole of RPGs, you can explore other things. So in our series, Lone Gamers of the Apocalypse, we played Wander Home. Wander Home is fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. You distribute that game. It's constantly selling it. Like it's constantly selling out. Like and getting reprinted. It is that good. Okay. But when I did it, and I did not expect this, my character was very broken and very sad. Very, very broken and very sad. And some part of playing that character did exactly what you said. Like, it connected with things that I felt better about me after having experienced by role-playing a character who was so vulnerable and lonely and incapable of communicating that in a way that was direct.
Right, but it's a medium, it's a vehicle for your own self, and yeah, I can, like, you know, it could be a lot to express those things just in regular life, but yeah, if you have like a barrier there and this like other medium to express it, yeah, that's awesome, Seppy. The barrier is any number of things. I don't know how many content creators I've met on this app who say, this is my preferred way of getting to know someone. There's a structure, we understand, it's safe, it's fun. If I ran into you on the street, I'd be like filled with anxiety, not know what to say, and look down at my shoes. You're right. Well, I've always thought that the bar was such an interesting social spot because it's unguided social activity. It's freeform. It's chaos. It's just a wasteland, you know, right? Whereas like a game, guided social activity allows us to like, you know, portray ourselves in a new way and like to show off who we are, but to do it within a framework that can really just add a nice support for people, especially if you're meeting someone for the first time. You know, I'd love to play a card game with someone while meeting them. So yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love that. My new basis for human interaction is we cannot discuss anything of merit until we've played something together and laughed together. And then our first thing that we need to talk about is the things we agree upon. If you've done these three things first, you can practically talk to anyone. Like, you've got to do these three things first. play a game, laugh, and then agree that our first thing that we talk about is the things we agree upon. Like,
love that. I will say that, but I mean, I guess if we want to discuss things of merit, Seppy, we're gonna have to play a game. We're gonna need to do it right now.
We are doing it right now, Andy. We are doing it right now. First game was a murder mystery. Who murdered the live at Deernicorn? And we know the answer rhymes with boss. We already played that game.
We played that game. Yeah. You were good with it. You were pretty proficient. I think, yeah. I'll pick a harder game next time. Yeah.
And then we had a laugh because it was very funny. And now we are in things that we agree upon. We're actually doing part 3.
Wow.
We're doing part 3 right now.
That's emergent gameplay. It was all baked into things from the beginning. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
I want to talk about something that you said that I think is really important and that also Jason Headley last week talked about, which is queer culture and the bar. Okay?
Oh, please. Yes, I have thoughts.
So I'm a Cold War kid, a Gen Xer, and I came of age and into the bar scene in the shadow of AIDS killing everybody. So Homo Ludus, like by Hazingas, which states the magic circle, says that people cannot have fun, enter the magic circle, the mental state for having fun, unless you feel safe. Okay?
Right.
Flat out. So for a generation of people who have doubled down on nuclear war killing us all and then AIDS killing us all, how did we as a group, and being feral, end up being able to have any fun at all? And so there was a reason that like the early like safe spaces in queer America were like bomb shelters.
Yeah. Because the safety prerequisite must be met before you can move on to the fun having, which is
right. And you do that with like either alcohol, like, you know, whatever you need to do to suspend, like, and that's not healthy. There's a lot of not healthy. Like, let's right.
Sure.
To get to that mental space of fun that where you could, you know, what do you have to do? Internal mental gymnastics to feel like that you're safe enough to have fun. Right?
Yeah.
Or are you just young and you have complete disregard for your personal safety, right?
Sure. Well, I think that quickly that fades away with time for sure. Yeah, I'm privileged enough to say that I've never had to play any of my favorite games in a bomb shelter. I don't think. Right, like that's a certain standard.
How have you even lived, Andy? Like, oh my gosh! Like duck and cover? Like they don't do duck. They do duck and cover now in schools, yes. But if it's a shooter drill, not a nuclear war drill.
War drill, yeah. Which I always thought was funny because with the duck and cover, would that really that wouldn't do. I always looked at that and I was like, I don't think that's gonna do much. Nonetheless.
Nobody thought it was going to do anything.
But
no.
Safety is a prerequisite for sure, and I think people are acknowledging that more and more now. Like with the implementation of safety tools in a lot of games, something that really didn't even like come into the zeitgeist until I don't know, like 10 years ago, maybe more than that. But for the longest time in gaming of all kinds, like role playing or board games or what have you, whatever it may be, safety rules just weren't a discussion. They flat out were not a discussion. You were just playing your RPG in the wild wastes, and if your DM did something weird, you're like, well, that was a strange night, and you moved on from that, you know? It's kind of
oh my gosh, Andy, it was like you were there.
Right, we've all had one problematic DM. Yeah, absolutely. It gets a little weird. Yeah.
I got red. I was on Epic Realms with Jeff Tidball and Patrick Leader. And Patrick Leader is obviously Root and all those. But what people should know about Patrick is he loves role-playing games. He has his library of every game, and he's a wonderful person. And Patrick we were talking about my latest campaign, and I forgot to put the safety warning label on something I had done to one of my characters that they had bought in, like that they had been bought into again. And he just stopped everything and goes, "Oh my God, Seppy, that's a safety issue." I'm like, wait a second. We had people buy it. We had all the buy-in of all the characters before they knew what kind of awful was in store for them. No. I let them know in advance. It is all this kinds of thing. And he's like, "You are." I'm like, "Ah."
You didn't break Patrick, did you?
Just a little. Just a little. Just a little.
Well,
just a little.
Verged mostly unscathed, but
no. I think he's like, "I'm not playing that guy's game. That guy's game is scary."
That's messed up. Yeah. Everyone's got varying levels. Me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, take a little X card. You'll be fine. Whatever. Like, mess around. But yeah, I think people are getting better about it. Yeah.
I think people being more collaborative about it has everything to do with the discussion about your character being a reflection of the world and not like a victim of the world. Like, and so you and your GM are creating this narrative together. And it's not this fear of autonomy. Like, I'm losing my autonomy as the person running this game. I'm losing my autonomy out of my character. Like, when you start building trust and create mechanisms in your games that forward that trust and collaboration, I think great things happen.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's part of the, in the past, like, if you look at the long history of role-playing games, I think originally they started with this kind of like combative, like confrontational tone almost, where the dungeon master's like, "Ooh, I've got this really mean dungeon that I'm gonna drop on y'all. I'm gonna bring the pain." And it's like, whoa, I don't want to like, what? Like, I don't want to. I mean, I would like to be challenged, perhaps, but I don't want to like. Why are we fighting? I don't know. It's weird. And so I think it's really like moving away from that asymmetrical power dynamic that a lot of like GM-led games have. It's as Ross often calls it, the "Mother May I" thing, where you're asking your DM, you're like, "Can I do this, Mother? May I please do this?" And it's about like returning power. Like, a lot of safety is about returning power to the players and making sure that they have consent and agency within the fiction.
I love like certain things to teach like new GMs. The answer for your "Mother May I" is yes, but. Right?
Yeah,
it's always yes, but. It's always "Mother May I" and yes, but. Like, those two fit together completely about like how this works. Like, another thing about Hazingas and the Circle of Fun is you have to have fun. Mm-hmm. You have to have a little skin in the game. You have to have risk.
Right. Yes.
You do. That's why dice in role-playing games keep their magic. Like, and there are a lot of diceless and awesome games with all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But then you still have to have that simulated risk. So simultaneously, where you need trust to feel good that you can have a good time, for it to not be boring, you need to have risk.
You need a stake. You need a buy-in. Something. Yeah. What are you giving up to the game that it might just take from you? Yeah.
You're right. Like, is it a lost turn? Is it to like? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. On the note of dice as well. This is just an errant thought, but I'd always viewed dice as something kind of like frivolous or optional. Like, they're adding a little randomness, a little fun, a little chaos. But something that Ross brought to my attention recently is that dice are actually, for many games, especially competitive games, a way to equalize and level the playing field for new players.
That's fair.
Well, right. It adds an element of chance that prevents any like masterful players from having this huge advantage. Like chess, for example. If you're a good chess player, you're gonna beat me every time. You're never gonna roll a die and be like, "Oh, guess I can't put you in check here." So. Dice are, in a way, could be viewed as another safety tool, at least for keeping the checks and balances of a game, or preventing an older sibling from crushing a younger sibling's feelings by wrongfully, kicking their butt in a game. So
it also puts a framework that everybody can agree on, right? So when you're starting out, and one of the reasons people go with these very elaborate, old school, very rigid, crunchy systems is it takes all of the trust and puts it into these receptacles. Oh, I have this miniature, I have this map, I have these dice, I have this character sheet. Now we have a common framework for which we are exchanging information and story back and forth. Mm-hmm. When you get to a more like indie, that becomes less the focus. You still have framework so everybody understands sort of how they're imagining the character a little bit, but that rigidity like melts away. And it becomes more story, and folks, if you want to embrace and have the most of that experience, that trust between the collaboration between players and GM, that's really when that like pushes everything to the paramount.
Right, it needs to happen. Yeah, thinking about a game like Wanderhelm, right? Something diceless, something collaborative, something predominantly free form as far as like narrative storytelling goes. It would be an unapproachable game without safety tools, you know, or a discussion of lines and veils or a conversation beforehand. So yeah, I totally agree. It is interesting to think about the game elements as like our currency or resource for trust. I haven't thought about that before, Seppy, and I kind of love that in a way because it's true, and also for like a lot of neurodivergent people, you know, I used to be starkly anti-crunch. I was like, crunch is bad and dumb. Like, let's just get to the role playing or whatever, you know. But
we all go through phases, Andy. We all go through phases.
We all go through phases. I'm learning. I'm growing. But there's a lot of value in like crunchy or granular mechanics, because they do provide, like you said, kind of this shared language between players and also a level of trust to say that even if other things fall apart, I know that these are my tools. I know that I can use these abilities or fall back on this part of my character. And yeah, so I love that.
I would argue it conversely than other games, crunch is, and why like the most established systems are so crunchy is, it is what people new to role-playing need to establish the framework of trust to start using that set of role-playing muscles.
Right. Well, it's definitely dipping your toe in the water, and like not to speak for too long on Dragon Game on the game, but I think. Okay.
Yeah, Blackwater will come for you, Andy. You can't talk about the Pinkertons will come for you. You can't talk about
Yeah, oh no! Oh wait, the union outside. No! Yeah, oof, Wizards of the Coast. A Rainbow Rabbit cards also said crunch is bad and dumb. Yeah, okay. Oh, but
if you've not, Becky lives in your neck of the woods. If you have not met Becky yet, Andy, you need to meet Becky. Becky is a force of nature, and if anybody in your organization needs to understand Amazon marketing, Becky is an expert, like crazy cuckoo bananas. Like Andy, Becky, Andy. Like you should know. Like Becky's incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Becky's superhuman. Plays the drums. Wrote a delight. Oh. Maybe you're sisters.
We could like
Andy's with an I. Andy's with an I. And so, but yes, she's very close. She lives very close, physically.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Becky will connect, but
yeah, absolutely, you should.
Okay.
Yeah, she shared a booth with me at Gamma. So what were we talking about? I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Trust. Crunch, Wizard. Oh, Pinkertons. Yeah, the Pinkertons. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Final thought. Not to dwell too long on the Dragon game, but I do think that is a reason that it has stuck around as like a mainstay in role playing, is because it does, despite the barrier, like the knowledge required to begin playing, it does provide you with all these tools and allows you to dip your toe into role playing. You're predominantly playing a war game. It's mostly war gaming, and on occasion you get a little RP as a treat. So it has a model for that. It has a framework for that.
You always know where next you can develop as a gamer in that system.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like you understand, oh, my character has just leveled up. I learn all these new things. Like the monsters are new, the places, all the kinds of it creates a framework for you to be rewarded in game knowledge as your your character also goes up. That kind of stuff. Where indies don't have that inherent like catalog of extra stuff that brings people along.
A massive,
Yeah.
endless catalog of extra stuff. Yeah, no.
Like
Yeah,
financial catalog, like woo.
that is one of the things about indies is you are more often than not you'll be generating your own content, and so I think that is one more barrier, right? And some games are really good about coming pre-equipped with information or like campaigns or little story arcs for you to play with. But yeah, there's certainly not the wealth of just content there to pull from. So.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love about, and I definitely think the indie space is in role playing is continuing to grow, is people are exploring things like solo role playing, GM-less role playing, diceless role playing. I forgot who it is, but that person wrote a autobiographical RPG.
Ooh,
I want to play this. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the chutzpah. They're another like Alphabet Mafia like indie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you wrote and again, the power of storytelling as healing, Andy.
yeah.
I
I mean,
gosh,
you can tell stories to yourself, and in fact, we do it every single day in the old noggin and the old thinker.
I start this morning with, oh, I can do it, and my campaign's going to be a success. I told myself that story.
Yes, no, that's as you should, without dipping our toes into the manifestation mindscape of like I'm manifesting this, but but in a very real sense, the stories that you tell really impact your life and outcomes. And I think solo role playing is a huge venue for that, or even GM-less role playing, collaborative role playing, just allows you to access more of yourself and access more of your peers, and build a vision for the future, which is really awesome. So
okay, for folks who are new to like an indie role playing experience, and we talked about Wander Home. Character generation isn't I rolled dice, I bought stuff, I picked from a list. It still has you picking from a list, but it ends up being I made this choice about the fundamental decisions or background elements that my character has. And then I lattice work that with other person making these step-by-step trees that make it happen, right?
Right.
Which of the Deernicorn, is it Fall of Magic that does your character really hasn't become a full character until like the first 3 steps of the story?
That is absolutely entirely Fall of Magic. Also, in part, City of Winter, depending on how much characterization you give the tradition cards. Also, honestly, that's like a Deernicorn staple. I think is emergent character building or character growth, right? You'll kind of start with this rough framework, whether it's BFF or Fall of Magic, but I really think a lot of the characterization comes through the role playing, which you are immediately brought into, which is awesome, and also I think perhaps more inviting for new players. This is something I've never struggled with, but I've heard it said before that creating a character, creating a fictional person from scratch, can actually be a really daunting task for new role players, right? Especially if it's something they've never done before. And so I think starting small with just the littlest amount of information and then building on that character progressively through play in an emergent way is a much smarter way to do it. It's going to save you time up front, and it's going to help you bring people in more readily. So
one of the things that I like to do if I'm going to do a campaign of any length is I start a character draft. And in it, what happens is a character has a set of cards which has features in it and mysteries and background elements and so forth and whatnot. And they're asked to take one for their character and then they are asked to take one out that no one gets to know about that then goes in the center.
Oh.
And then they pass that deck to the person to the left, who's then asked to do again, and they have to get a set of cards. And so in the act, they take notes, and now they're like, oh, like, there's something that I put out, like, there's a thing about me that no one knows, and there's a thing that's in this world that nobody knows but me.
Yeah.
It creates really interesting stakes.
Okay, and these are like, these mysteries will be like related to the story at hand, or like the campaign that they'll be approaching. Wow,
they could be like historical elements about the world. They can be like inner dark questions that, you know, we call it quintessence, we call it background, we call it like legacy items, like all that kind of stuff. So I do that in my campaign. And so people are like, and so then, you know, the stuff that ends up getting passed to the next round then becomes the common element, more common elements that the players know about each other and the world they come in. And then they do it again until all the cards, they have a full set of cards, and then we have a set of cards in the middle. Now, one of the most fun things I did with that was also pair it with a superpower mechanic. And just by asking this question with the players, I said, okay, you're going to get one power that's for you, and then you get a power and then you need to place a superpower into the center that you don't think any of the other players should have.
Wow.
And that created immediately a mindset with them. And that's all I said. And it was a collaborative experience. I immediately created a mindset with them that they could not trust the other players.
Yeah, I would believe that. They sabotaged me in this regard.
Yeah, I know, it's hysterical. So in that particular story, it was one of those classic, you wake up from like not having any memories in a vat without any memories situation. It was super fun. But what it ended up turning out to be, and I loved this like mini campaign, is they were clones of the most famous American presidents during the Cold War. And all the powers that they ended up giving up ended up being redivided to the clones of the communist bad guys. And so they literally created their own super villains by their mistrust. Instead of saying, this power is better in our group, they're like, nobody in my group can have this power. The players' heads exploded when they discovered that, like, They gave the mistrust. Their fears were manifest in their villains. They said, this is terrible and no one should ever have this. And then a villain said, but I do. But I do. Yeah, it was...
That's marvelous, Seppy. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to steal that like campaign draft idea, though, because I feel like one thing that many games have tried to grapple with in varying ways, to varying degrees of success, is to integrate the character into the world during the creation process. I mean, this is something that dates back to like Apocalypse Apocalypse World even, right? Where you're kind of like establishing the relationships that you have with the other players, like a history that you have with them, but is present in a lot of like belonging style games in the playbooks. But just finding little ways to ask questions about the characters and how they relate to the world. And while I think that's awesome, those questions are not specifically tailored in the way that the mystery cards might be. Because you could put on very specific information, and then players are starting with this really like these juicy tidbits. And
then they understand they're getting choices on how they hook into that mystery. So...
Right.
Yes.
Agency. Coming back to the safety tools. And
Andy. Like we've exchanged. We now have an equal exchange.
Right.
You gave me the healing power of storytelling. But please, absolutely, if you try it out and you innovate with it, when you're on your podium getting your next award, please thank me.
Okay. First up, I'd like to thank the Academy and also Seppy. Yeah, I will. So here, I had just had one more thought a while ago on character creation, right? Mm-hmm. And that's things to like bringing new players in. What are your thoughts on pre-generated characters for people to use. And I know there was a lot of discussion about this with like Possum Creek Games, Yazuba's Bed and Breakfast, which recently came out. They encourage people to play with pre-generated characters. And I only ask because I don't know how to feel about it. Like, I really, part of the beauty of role playing to me is the joy of like developing this fictional person, right? But I also understand that's very intimidating for new role players. And so, yeah, I don't know if you had any thoughts on pre-generated characters for role playing. Like for conventions, you know, you show up and you're like, here's who you're gonna play. You're gonna play, you know, Bjorn the Ignorant or whatever. But yeah, right. So,
I have an extremely large number of thoughts about this. Okay, so number one, Andy, you're a performer and a presence. Okay, so you probably also know actors. Yes. Would an actor have a problem feeling like they did not make a character their own?
I'm inclined to say yes. I think so. I think, yeah, right, yeah. An actor should want to embody a character with their own unique flair and flavor. Otherwise, why am I playing the part? Right. Right.
They want a part that suits their talents. So in your pre-gens, as long as you have one where an actor can say, I will kill this role. I love this role. Right? Then that's good, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You wouldn't give that same assignment to a screenwriter.
No, probably not. No. And I suppose that's a great way to approach it, really, is not like a pre-generated character, but like you are assigning roles for a play, per se. Yeah, because I could see new players especially getting enthused about, like, oh, yes, I want to be this, like, hot-headed...
I want to be Hamlet. You know, right. I want to be Ophelia. I want to be so sad, like, right? You know, Mercutio. I want to, like, you know, like these archetypes. I want to be Captain Kirk. I want to be Uhura. Like, if, you know, I want to be the Mandalorian. Like these ideas. Like, I feel like when people are stepping into a short-term role-playing situation, like a convention. Stepping into a trope or an archetype is easier to accelerate into the story that this experience is having, right? It's much more on rails. It's like getting into a roller coaster. That's fine, right? Yeah. It's not a real mine cart where I am like holding on for dear life and death. It's going like this. It was strapped in. It's safe, right? And that is
asking questions about character creation, like, well, I know it says this, but could I do that? And you're like, could you do that? Yeah, right.
Yes, Bart.
Yes, but it's a more contained experience for sure. There will be few surprises for you as a game master. So there's that.
It's true. Like for like campaigns, depending on their like total experience level, right? You know, I wouldn't give a $200 bottle of wine to somebody who doesn't appreciate wine. Right?
Wow. Right. Yeah.
Right? That person, like, you have to learn that level of like conceited foodiness to appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and I have the feeling that if you're willing to mentally, emotionally commit to a like 12-episode campaign of a game, you probably also have the bandwidth to create a character for that game. I would imagine. Right. Yeah.
But conversely, like, you know, I can eat a Chipotle burrito. Like, okay, give me a Chipotle burrito.
Yes.
Right? Like, give me that number 6, and I'll customize it, and then we're going with that thing.
I recently played a session of Dialect with friends that kind of they're like newer role players, and it kind of, I don't want to say it went off the rails. I don't want to say it got a little gonzo, but we played as like AI powered personified monster trucks on like an abandoned Earth. Yeah, right. Yeah, it got really wild. It got really crazy. And I described this session to Ross, and he said, yeah, that sounds like the Cheese Whiz and Tater Tots of role-playing games. And I said, Thank you. And I enjoyed my cheese whiz and tater tots, you know? Yeah.
Right. Don't make it something like people like too many times in our lives as queer people told us to feel bad about whatever situation that we've got going on. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
We're too camp or we're not out there enough. Right. Like do what you need for you right now. Like if you need to stay in the closet, stay in the closet. If you need to tone it down today, tone it down today. If you need to shoot everybody with your sparkle cannon, go guns a-blazing. Just
I'm looking forward to that. My sparkle cannon is locked and loaded. Seattle Pride. It's gonna be real. Yeah.
Right. But the people around you, like you don't go to a memorial service with the sparkle cannon unless that crowd is ready for that, right?
No. Yeah, you can adjust for sure, but yeah, and, that's so true. That's so true, Seppy. That queer people specifically really need to remember that it is okay to modulate yourself and your behavior and your presentation and your identity
for safety, for energy, for any of those reasons.
Yes, and that you're never gonna reach that end point of like I'm here and I'm good here. Like it really is an ongoing process of discovery, which is awesome, which is really cool, like I'm wearing a skirt today, which is marvelous, but I've been looking this gay for like the last 5 years now, and I still feel weird about wearing a skirt sometimes. So I'm like, maybe I'm not a girly girl today, like maybe I'm a tough guy today, so yeah, everyone
whatever you are currently, it's fabulous. You get to choose for you. Like one of the things, like being an older gay person, like things that have come to the forefront, which I think actually ties to our role-playing topic, is we're now getting to see a whole spectrum of gender expression, a whole spectrum of sexual interest, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't particularly love or hate the term like homo-flexible or hetero-flexible, but it's certainly better than I like you in a prison sex sort of way.
That's where we're coming from, like 2003. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and ace people finally have a voice. Like it's so weird. Yes. Like and aro ace people, it's so weird in our society for people to realize a person has worth without them being hooked into a romantic situation.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? And you know what, Seppy? You know what? I am not a romantic, and yet I still feel that way. That sentiment is so pervasive, so ubiquitous culturally. But yeah, I think we're working to deconstruct a lot of those.
I didn't realize that was something that I was programmed with until my life completely imploded in 2018. And then people asked, like, Seppy, like, when are you going to get yourself back out there? And I looked at them and I say, and this is truth, I have over 40 years of committed relationships collectively. I'm allowed to be done, Andy. I can retire. And they're like, I have done my time.
Long enough. Yeah.
Right. I have done my time, Andy. I have done my time. I am allowed to not, I'm allowed to, take my life. And do you know who, made that okay for me?
Who?
Tim Gunn from Project Runway.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because he was asked this question all the time, and it came up, and all this kinds of stuff. And he talks about, I don't want to talk about this. This thing happened, but I feel like my life is better in this other direction. And he was the first person that I saw that I could identify with, that I was like, oh my God, this person's right. You can just be done instead of thinking, I'm broken. You can just be done.
And that is the feeling, that is the sentiment, especially when people come to you and they're like, so are you sure you're okay? And it's like, yeah, I'm really okay.
Yeah, but you keep on asking me this question. Am I not okay?
It makes me wonder if you're okay. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, everybody should always remind themselves, and I don't mean to mansplain to anybody, but
if
you look long enough, you can always find something wrong.
Yes, totally. Which is again, like, that comes back to the narrative, to the stories that we tell about ourselves, to the solo RPG happening in our head every day, right? It's like, you might see the wrong things, but maybe just switch the label. Maybe find some things you love about yourself, because there's probably more than you. Right. There's probably more than you know. There's probably so many more than you know. No, it's so true though. I think, and it's an ongoing process, but it's really awesome now to see each and every year people progressively becoming more connected and finding solidarity with each other, and like learning to demystify and deconstruct all of this, all of these standards, all of these notions about who people are and what it means to live a good life around gender and sexuality, and how people choose to live, in ways that fulfill them. So,
and people are creating these bridges to themselves and others using storytelling and gaming and creative endeavors. And that is why that is fantastic. All right, Andy, we are now in the wrap up. You are fantastic. Tell me what you've got going on as a performer and a role player, and then what Deernicorn has going on, and then I will finish up the wrap up, and we will say goodbye to all. But Andy, I'm falling in love with you. You are fantastic.
Thank you, Seppy. I feel the same. This has been marvelous.
Are you sure you get Ross? I'm sure. Just like, wait, watch that Seppy. He's gonna go all the way off the rails, and you're gonna feel like an insane person.
No, Ross warned me. Yeah. He actually said, he was like, you know what, Andy, maybe do you want to take this one? And I was like, who, me? No.
Andy, what did we say about the truth? Nobody wants to hear it.
There's always a little bit of truth in there. No, this has been really marvelous, and I've been feeling the solidarity myself. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, like as a fellow game designer and queer person, and you're just such a great energy. So thanks for having me on. For my pluggables in my life, I am just about to send Between Clouds, which is like my queer biopunk role-playing game about flying around on top of giant creatures. I'm just about to send that off to the printer, so those books will be available in the physical copies will be available in like September. Definitely go check those out. They're going to be beautiful, I think. And the digital copies are available right now. So if you're interested, you can just look up Andy Licht or look up Between Clouds, and you should find me. The game's available to play. Come find me on Discord, and I will talk to you at any time. Woo! So that's where I'm at. And Deernicorn just launched Bad Baby Lich Lords, which is a fast-paced competitive card game. We just launched that on Kickstarter on yesterday. Yesterday morning. And it's doing great. We're so close to funding. So if you're
that must be nice.
Yeah. There's not a lot. Yeah, for anyone as soon as I start getting gray hairs, I'm going to blame it on Kickstarter.com.
Hey, you can make that stuff seem fabulous. I feel very seen by that, Andy. Come on now.
Those are all from Kickstarter, Seppy, from nothing else. Just Kickstarter.
They are, actually.
It's a relentless platform. That's so close to being funded. Bad Baby Lich Lords, go look it up on Kickstarter. It's just like such a really intuitive game, and I'm not even a card battler person, but I grokked the system so quick. And I almost beat Ross. I was like 1 point away. I was really close to beating him in his own game. But yeah,
and then he pulled the plug on your TikTok, and then you're like,
Yeah. So definitely check that out, and just check out our distro. We added a bunch of new Evil Hat games like Thirsty Sword Lesbians, Blades in the Dark, Scum and Villainy, etc., etc. So
I got to meet Fred recently, and that was a treat. Absolutely. That is amazing, Andy. You've been fantastic. Everybody here, especially, I see a lot of the usual suspects. Thank you all for being so supportive during the Conquest Princess campaign. The amount of hate I was not prepared for. Being a wedge issue politically is really awful. This is the third time in my life. The gay marriage in 2004, and then of course AIDS. It was awful. That's very sad. But everybody here has been awesome, and if you know anyone who needs a crisis management game that includes everything and everybody all at once, please tell them about the campaign. It really is a bridge to all types of games and gamers. Things being inclusive doesn't mean it excludes gamers already there.
Say it louder, Seppy. Say it louder. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Fun is not like pie. It does not mean sharing. It means you have less. It's more like cooking. When you cook and you cook more, suddenly you have more.
You can have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'll make more cake.
Right. I had a gender component in between clouds, and I had one player say, well, I don't really get the gender thing. And I said, well, that's okay. It's not my job, I guess. I kind of wrote what I wrote and figured out. It's awesome, but you're playing the game, and that's what counts. So, yeah.
No, it's just so good.
Back, and I am here to support Seppy. For every hater there is, I'm going to go on there and kill them. I'm going to go flame them.
Oh my God. I was not ready. I'm not even going to share the awful because you have amazing energy, and that's where I want to leave it. Everybody here, thank you so much. Andy, thank you so much. Thank Floss for allowing this this live to continue despite the fact that he brought down the hammer.
How dare he?
And all the other people at Deernicorn that I've interacted with, please send them my love. But everybody, I will talk to you later. And Andy, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Seppy. It was a pleasure. So.
Bye.
Bye.